luckily for me, I had a thirst for knowledge that I actually read a book or two outside of school and learned some things on my own, but a lot of people don't have that drive or even care to do that.
All right, thanks to Aaron Perper. Here we go, Mage Podcast number 1. TEAMAGE, Mage Podcast. No, we got to come up with a better name than that right away. All right, how about Mage Studios presents Mage in... It's Mage at Mage's house, brought to you by Perp and Morissette. This is going nowhere. I need like a jingle. I need some more beats. Basically, I think this is going to be like Mage News or something like that, because basically if you want me to podcast about this stuff, it's really just the stuff that I'm reading, watching videos, reading, and just trying to pay attention, really. Draw a lot of perspectives because I deal with a lot of people in the real world all day. Different positions of authority. So I see how people in business want to almost infiltrate other businesses, other markets, grow in other directions before somebody else grows in that direction as a business. But I think the power brokers, the elite, the brand name faces, these faces on giant corporations, like you get a Mitt Romney running for president, and he's just a face. He's a power broker, as was Obama and Bush and everybody else. But I mean, you really look at Mitt Romney, Bain Capital background, claims his business experience comes from putting up sports authorities. So really, I couldn't see myself voting for a guy who's going to be the box store king. That's not the direction I'd like to see this country go. But it looks like the box store... It's like that movie Idiocracy when they go to like Costco and they're like, they walk into Costco and there's a guy standing there and he says, "Welcome to Costco, I love you." And they're going through and it's like miles and miles of Costco, and the dude played by, was it Dax or whatever, he's like, I gotta stop saying like too if I'm gonna be freaking podcasting. Ugh. He goes, yeah, I got my law degree here. I thought that was one of the funniest jokes in that movie, Idiocracy. If you haven't seen it, you should go see it. But anyways, that's not the direction I want to go. And guys like Mitt Romney really are from that background. He's funded by Goldman Sachs. They're all cookie cutter example, except for Ron Paul. He's not. He's the only guy. He's got the military backing him. He's got the average working class person. Whatever. I'm not going to campaign too hard, I think, in these for Ron Paul. It'll just come out because he's the only guy that's not one of these investment bank brand name labels on some package that you can just... They're like the bow on top with the message of a big-ass present, and inside is a box full of shit. And that's pretty much what's going on with this. And they just keep changing the bow. They put a fucking Gingrich or a Mitt Romney or any of these guys on the front. And it has a little message, and it basically just says, hey, that's who we are. So, but the first story, I'll just say the title first. CIA Blackwater op infiltrated Ron Paul campaign. All right, so this is basically saying, and first thing I saw here was it was on it was on RT, and I'll just and Wayne Madsen, journalist, he's the guy doing this, and he's done a lot of other stuff, and he's always doing foreign policy stuff, I think, that tries to cut through what the media boxes it up as. So I'll just read what they have here. The Wayne Madsen report says the CIA used Blackwater-linked mercenaries as journalists in order to gather intelligence. Allegedly, 2 people working as subcontractors to the CIA had significant links to Blackwater's operations in Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, and Iraq. So who are these individuals? What kind of links did they have to these operations? And how were these agencies able to get away with this? So it's claiming that the Secret Service essentially since these journalists that were basically CIA Blackwater guys, which is how everything important's done these days. Freaking Anwar al-Awlaki, his 16-year-old kid, we just drone strike their ass. Don't even give them due process, and all they did was speech crimes, basically just talking. They were talking some mad shit. They got bombed for it, but once you don't have due process, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of what the Revolutionary War was about. It was about setting up a system that protected liberty, and if everyone had their due process of liberty, then the sole function, the only function of government would be and should be, and definitely is not today, but is to just simply protect your liberty stemming from your property, which is you own yourself. So that's pretty much basic shit. And right here, they're saying that they're sending CIA. So this is a president, so what Wayne Madsen is basically saying here is that he's claiming that since they got in as a White House deal, the Secret Service and the president, which is everything you know. I mean, a lot of the ex-CIA directors like H.W. Bush, he was a CIA director, became president, goes back and forth. It's just a very tight-knit operation. And that's like, I'm not a big CIA fan, man. I think it's 47 or 48 is when they came in. And everything they've done since then I thought was counterproductive to liberty. So I don't know. It doesn't make me feel any safer to have dudes going around trying to manipulate stuff. And this is a prime example. So you got the president giving the nod to let Blackwater, which is a private company now, so I'm sure there's some advantages to that, have their dudes infiltrate Ron Paul's campaign. So that's a mercenary. That's like a militant act if you really think about it. And that's kind of deep, but it's a militant act because it's basically when you think of how other countries can keep one person or one group of people in power so long, it's because of stuff like this. And if you know anything about the media blackout of Ron Paul, you know that this is some real shit. It just sounds like KGB to me, pretty freaky stuff. So I don't know. I don't know what more to say about that. Let's go to this next article, I guess. I don't really want to think too much about the CIA infiltrating Ron Paul's campaign. If that's going on right now, what's next? Because we've crossed the threshold that we're supposed to be protecting. Just basic. I mean, if you say you got to vote for the lesser of two evils, what happens now when you get some interesting choices going up, and they're using secret ops to infiltrate the campaign of the guy who could be threatening the presidency and all his freaking Wall Street backed buddies, and oh boy. All right. This next article is pretty sweet. It busted out on January 26th from CBS News for all you dudes that hate on people that listen to Alex Jones and the sort. Because Alex Jones, I get jacked on a lot for listening to Alex Jones. And it's like I don't cite Alex Jones really unless it's witty commentary, great points, entertaining interviews, getting guests that pretty much no one else can get, all that stuff. Like, I'll give him credit, but I'll go to the source, what he's sourcing. And that's what I always do. And that's how I draw my own opinions. And so people don't frickin' get it. And when you source something and you get down to the primary source, a lot of times people don't even understand the difference between like getting to the primary source and then who's reporting on and then who's reporting it after. And so the primary source of this essentially is we don't know. But CBS News busted this, and I'll just read it because it's short. But if CBS News busts it and I cite that, then that's as good as anybody else sitting and watching the news basically at home. So it's kind of right in the middle, and I try to judge things accordingly. You know, it's not a freaking forwarded email or a dude that I talk to on the street telling me this. It's like, all right, I remember who's breaking this. Their credibility is supposed to be riding on that. When they break something and they protect the source, they verify the source. So here it goes. New York, CBS 2. Sources tell CBS 2 that authorities are investigating a delivery of cocaine to the United States. And remember, these are authorities. These are, they're not public servants, remember? They're authorities. They have authority over you. So that's how we view government. Sources said Thursday that 30 pounds of cocaine were received by UN in their mailroom. It was delivered as a package on January 16th. The New York Police Department and Drug Enforcement Agency are involved in the probe. No other details were immediately available. Boom. Someone discovered that little dirties are going on with the UN. 30 pounds of cocaine is worth a lot of money. I should have done the calculations before I got in this news deal, but it's more money than I have in my pocket right now. And we basically know that in Operation Fast and Furious, 5+ years, 8+ departments on the U.S.-Mexico border had the ATF and 7 other departments shipping guns repeatedly to Sinaloa cartel directly from the government of the United States and shipping them down there in exchange for letting them bring drugs into the country. We know this has come out. Eric Holder lied about it. It's right under our nose, and most people don't give a shit about it. It's the biggest thing. I mean, there's like 40,000 dead now down in Mexico and on the borders, just directly and indirectly from the gang warfare, and the trickle-down effect, too, of having all these Sinaloa getting extra backing. It's kind of like what you do in the Middle East, you got to pick your winner. Each decade there's a different winner, The Taliban of the 80s was different than the Taliban of today. But anyways, the Rockefeller Foundation and everyone else involved with the UN, all these big groups of people that basically have their nose in all these groups, all these organizations, they're the people that deal drugs. They're the CIA, the ATF. They're the heads of them. I mean, they're the ones that go to Bilderberg Group. They're the ones that go to Council on Foreign Relations. They're the ones that do all this kind of stuff, because it's just the same. It's like if you're in the media and you cover the presidential race or something, and you go to every state and you go around to the frickin' Motel 6 or the La Quinta down the street, and you see them in the hot tub in the pool, and it's just like you see them out at the Burger King or whatever, you see them at the hotel beforehand and after in the lobby after they do the presidential candidate speech, and you see them on the campaign trail. It's just like a traveling group of, as Tucker Carlson would have said in Kokesh's video, parasites. That's kind of what it is. You see these people all over, and that's the exact same type of stuff that goes on with the globalists and the people that are involved in this stuff, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the Soros and the Buffetts and the people that meet up and use their power and influence to do big stuff. And this big stuff usually, no matter what it is, this is what people got to realize too with government, with anything, is that no matter what it is, the big stuff that happens when it's organized on a scale that's not a voluntary scale. It's not just society doing it. It's coerced by groups that have power and authority to coerce a larger scheme of things on others. And that's essentially what this is, because they are using their power and influence to pass a global carbon tax. They are using their power and influence to consolidate the central banks of the world. Shit, I could just stop with that one. I mean, that's essentially how you should, if you want to view geopolitical actions and you want to get into learning about this stuff, and I'm just scratching the surface. I mean, I'm no expert at any of this stuff. Just Morissette and Perper just want to hear my voice or something. They think it's soothing, and they want to play it before they go to bed, or I don't know exactly, but maybe I'll make that happen. But it really, when you start looking at this stuff, you just look at the wars you start when the countries stop trading their oil on U.S. dollars, and look at the countries that the Cubans and the Venezuelans and stuff that basically they make it a point to say F you to the United States, and that's how we view it. But what they're really doing is saying that they want to, let's say, socialize their oil, and they want no part of it. They want to trade on the euro, like switching like Saddam did and stuff. So, I mean, you look at the catalysts that mark the beginning of change in our view or our policy towards something, and those catalysts are oftentimes when people switch off trading their resources on the US dollar. Or look at the European Union forming more or less against the will of a lot of countries, but look at the financial catastrophe that the European Union is. I mean, essentially the European Central Bank, the Bank of England, Bank of Canada, Bank of the United States. I mean, it's total derivative fiat funny money. The debt is unsustainable, and all things that are not sustainable will eventually come to an end. That's logic 101. If you need to remember anything, remember that if it cannot be sustained, it will end. That's all you need to understand. And so you look at the funny money runaway financial Ponzi schemes that is a state-controlled central bank with the ability to print currency, manipulate interest rates, and loan money to the corporate mega banks subjectively when they see fit, while everyone else sucks a tailpipe and licks a boot. That's what you see today. That is the definition of fascism.